Audi has announced the trim that will sit between the Q8 and the Q4 e-Tron, and that's the Q6. It's co-developed with Porsche and it's the sister car of the Porsche Macan. These are early impressions as this car will not be available in the US anytime before 2025. But we have the main details and we will publish an updated video when the Q6 is available here, with most of the details likely to remain the same. The said Q6 and the SQ6 will join the other e-trons in a dual motor configuration, probably followed by a single motor variant. So let's get into it. The Q6 is based on the same PPE platform as the Porsche Macan. The VW Group has until now created at least 4 platforms, and that's caused for some confusion. The PPE, the J1, the MLB Evo, and the MEB. These should be subject to some consolidation in the future. The Q6 will be the boxier SUV version of the Porsche Macan. All the specs should be considered provisional to be confirmed only when the Q6 comes to the US. But never the same, the Q6 will have a 100 kWh gross battery pack on an NCM chemistry, which will have a 94.4 kWh usable capacity in the US. That's half a kWh less than in Europe, probably on shipping regulations. The battery will comprise of 12 modules, each with 15 prismatic cells, with each cell equipped with its own temperature sensor. The Q6 will have a peak DC charge rate of 270 kilowatts for its 800 volt battery pack, which we believe supports a 135 kilowatt split pack charging on 400 volts. The charging curve will be excellent, we feel, as on this architecture the battery gets to low nominal voltage, typically 630 volts pack voltage, that sits straight 400 amps to 800 volts, tapering only around 60 to 65% in state of charge. The Q6 is almost certainly not launching with the NACS port in the US. It will have a 40 amps or 9.6 kilowatt level 2 onboard AC charger with a promise of support eventually for 80 amps. The car will have a level 2 port on either side like we saw in the Q8. You can view that video here or find its link in the description. Quick reminder to the viewers that 80 amps will need a dedicated 100 amp circuit at home as per the US NEC code. The 0 to 60 is indicated in 5 seconds and 4 seconds. The range is estimated at 300 miles. That's actually higher in Europe at 625 kilometers or 388 miles WLTP. The WLTP number is most often higher than the US EPA one. On performance, the Q6 will deliver 315 kilowatts and 422 horsepower and 340 kilowatts and 456 horsepower with launch control. The corresponding numbers for the SQ6 will be 360 kilowatts and 483 horsepower, 380 kilowatts and 510 horsepower with the launch control. The Q6 will have a heat pump, while the air suspension will be included in the SQ6 and will be optional in the Q6. The big difference with its sister car Macan is the rear permanent and front asynchronous motors against the 2 permanent magnet motors in the Macan on both the axles. The Q6 is 187.8 inches or 477.1 centimeters long, 78.5 inches or 199.3 centimeters wide, and 64.9 inches or 164.8 centimeters tall. All 3 numbers are as we saw on the website of Electric. The link is in the description. That's a competitively sized SUV with a powerful drive system. The Q6 will offer 18.6 cubic feet of rear storage with the rear seats up, 54 cubic feet with the seats folded, and a 2.3 cubic feet front trunk. These are the specs we were able to source and, like said before, are subject to reconfirmation once the car is available in the US. The Q6 has done away with any kind of manual preconditioning, which is not a bad idea. Any misuse here could lead to loss of valuable energy. Much like Tesla, the preconditioning will now work with the navigation of the car, and therein lies the catch. Many users who use either Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto won't be able to avail of the preconditioning unless they use the car's built-in navigation. That's of course all subject to change with a software update. The native Android in the Q6 is Audi's own open source implementation and not from Google like a Volvo or a Polestar, and will hopefully be good enough for users to exclusively rely upon. And that should resolve the preconditioning issue as well. The car will have natural language processing in its Hey Audi feature. VW2 had unveiled NLP recently, and we don't see functions that are anything beyond voice commands for now. At this point, AI is more the selling jazzy term to us with little real value, especially in a car with hardly any generative relevance. If you disagree, kindly share your thoughts in the comments. It's too early to speak of the price, which is unavailable for the customers in the US, but do keep a lookout on this channel for more when it's available. Let's now see how the Q6 fits against its brand peers, the Q4 and Q8 base trims. Its 94.4 kWh usable battery is between the 76.6 kWh of the Q4 and the 106 kWh of the Q8. The significant upgrade is the 270 kW peak DC charge rate, and that's bigger than the 150 and 170 kW of both the Q4 and Q8, and we anticipate a good charging curve given the power, which should make it a good road tripper with good infrastructure around. Its 300 plus miles of expected range too goes in line with a meaningful enhancement as much as its performance variables on power and torque. It does better than the Q8 on the 0 to 60, and these figures will be on paper soon, around the time the car does its EPA cycles. On the dimensions, the Q6 is wider to the Q8 by about 1.2 inches and sits between the two on the other measures. Its wheelbase too is nearer to the Q8, is just about an inch shorter, and in cargo it has significantly lesser space with the seats upright, nearly 9.9 cubic feet less than the Q8 and 6.2 cubic feet less than the Q4. That's a point to keep in mind for those looking at this car for long trips and luggage. In terms of competition, we looked at the Tesla Model X dual motor and the Rivian R1S dual motor all-wheel drive with the standard pack. Its 94.4 kWh usable battery compares with the near identical 95 kWh of the Model X and the near about 106 kWh of the Rivian R1S. Rivian does not reveal the ratio, and we assume the stated 106 kWh to be the usable number. Those interested are requested to verify on their own as much as anything on our videos. Its 300 plus miles range is short of the 335 miles of the Tesla Model X, which is a recently lowered number from Tesla and is now expected to better match real world factors. It's higher than the 270 miles on our selected R1S trim. Its performance variables look lower to the other two trims as well, but for most of these numbers, we will anyway wait for this car to conclude its EPA exercises. On dimensions, it's smaller than the other two. The Model X is 11.2 inches longer to the Q6 and the R1S2 is longer by 13 inches. The R1S is broader and taller than the other two, and it holds a higher ground clearance and wheelbase. Though we don't have the confirmed ground clearance of the Q6, we expect it to be shorter to the R1S. The Q6 is really the Macan with the Audi badge, surely with better interior room, the looks of which may differ in likes or dislikes individually. The Macan could be seen as a sporty performance version of this effort, and the Q6 the SUV. If you want to view our impressions of the Porsche Macan, check the link here or in the description. Audi has one problem though, that's the tax credit eligibility of this car under the Inflation Reduction Act, where unlike Mercedes and BMW, it lacks a US plant. Its only North American plant is in Mexico, probably not with the required capacities or configurations, and unless it makes some quick fix adjustments, it risks being at a significant disadvantage, especially as others, including newbies like Rivian, move under the IRA price cap and churn out vehicles that qualify. VW's plant in South Carolina could be in the thick of action if Audi looks at the Q6 as its volume model, as it has said it does. There is speculation of the likely location being the Scout Motor plant in Columbia, South Carolina. That is one factor to watch. Hope that was a useful video for you and one delivered well ahead for this car that's expected only next year. We will look forward to seeing you soon in the next one, and please do all the good things, starting with sharing your thoughts and comments. We truly appreciate your watching. If you want to view our impressions of the Android in the new Volvo EX40, earlier called XC40. Check the link here or in the description. See you in the next one.